You see the private jets, the billion-dollar companies, the superyachts anchored off the coast of Monaco. It's easy to assume they were born into it. Silver spoons, Ivy League connections, cushy family wealth. But what if I told you some of the wealthiest people alive today once cleaned floors, sold shirts door to door, were scraped by without enough money for a bus ride? This is the part of the billionaire story you rarely hear. Not the beachfront parties or champagne deals, but what came before all of that. Because behind every polished empire, there's a past. A messy, broken, gritty beginning filled with rejection, sacrifice, and impossible odds. In this video, we're going behind the scenes of success. We'll uncover the stories of billionaires who started with nothing. No money, no status, no safety net. Just hunger, grit, and a level of belief almost no one understood at the time. You'll meet the man who grew up in public housing and went on to change the way the world drinks coffee. The woman who was told she wasn't fit for TV, but became the most influential media mogul in history, and more. This isn't about fairy tales. It's not about luck. It's about what happens when ambition refuses to die, even in the face of failure. From struggle to superyacht. Let's take a closer look at the billionaires who built their dreams from the dirt, so you can see what's possible, and maybe start building your own. Success isn't just about the finish line. It's about the road you take to get there. And for the ultra-elite people we're talking about today, the billionaires living lives most of us can barely imagine, that road didn't start with wealth. It didn't start with connections, investors, private schools, or some golden blueprint. It started with absolutely nothing. These weren't trust fund babies. In fact, some of them were abandoned as kids, bullied, homeless, or working 3 jobs just to stay afloat. They grew up in broken homes. They were told no more times than anyone should ever hear in one lifetime. And still, somehow, they made it. And not just to comfortable, not just to financially stable. They made it to the very top, the rare air, the kind of wealth that doesn't just change their life, but generations after them. So the question is, how? How do you go from struggle to superyacht? From working the night shift to negotiating billion-dollar deals? From being laughed at to being labeled a genius? In this video, you're going to hear 4 real stories of billionaires who started with zero. No handouts, no special head start, just grit, obsession, vision, and the courage to not stop when things got hard, which they absolutely did. And with every story, I want you to listen not just with your ears, but with your future in mind. Because more important than who these billionaires are is what you can learn from their journey. What decisions did they make that you could apply right now? What mindset allowed them to keep going when others quit? What was the one pivot, the one bold move that changed everything? These aren't stories meant to impress you. They're stories to inform you, to ignite you, to remind you that being broke is a circumstance, but staying broke is often a mindset. You don't need to be born into wealth to create it. You don't need a rich last name to build a rich life. You just need the right mindset, relentless courage, and proof that it's possible. That's what this video is. So if you've ever felt behind, overlooked, or underestimated, these stories are for you. Let's dive into the first. Story 1. Howard Schultz, Starbucks, from public housing to global coffee giant. Long before Starbucks was the global coffee behemoth we know today, Howard Schultz was just a kid growing up in the Brooklyn projects, public housing, low income, overlooked. His father, a laborer with no job security, no health benefits. When he got injured, his family fell apart financially, and Howard never forgot it. He
He saw from early on what life looked like without opportunity, without options, without safety nets. That pain shaped him, not into sadness, but into drive. He became the first in his family to go to college, and after working his way up in the corporate world, he joined a small Seattle coffee chain called Starbucks. Back then, it had just 4 stores. Schultz had a vision bigger than lattes. He wanted to bring the cafe culture of Europe to the US. But when he pitched it, the owners said no. It was too big, too risky. So he left, started his own coffee company, competed with Starbucks, and then bought Starbucks out. Fast forward, today, Starbucks has 35,000 plus stores worldwide. Howard Schultz, worth $4 billion, private jets, yachts, palaces of peace, all built from poverty. Takeaway: where you start doesn't matter. What matters is whether you believe you deserve more and pursue it even when no one else does. Story 2. Oprah Winfrey. From abuse and poverty to becoming a cultural empire. Born in Mississippi in 1954 to a teenage single mother living in poverty, Oprah's life began in some of the darkest corners of American society. She wore potato sacks as clothes, was abused mentally, physically, sexually by people who were supposed to protect her. By age 14, she was pregnant and lost her child shortly after birth. Most people would never recover from that. But Oprah did. How? By understanding something powerful. Your future doesn't have to look like your past. She found her gift in speaking, in connection, in storytelling. And when she finally got a shot on radio and local TV, she made waves. But even with her talent, media executives told her that she was too emotional, too raw, not the right fit for TV. Good thing she ignored them. She didn't blend in, she broke through. Fast forward, The Oprah Winfrey Show became the most watched talk show of all time. She became the first black female billionaire. Today, Oprah owns a media empire, luxury homes, private jets, and influence on a global scale. Takeaway? Your struggle doesn't disqualify you. It equips you. Pain can be your platform if you refuse to let it define you. Story 3. Do-Won Chang, Forever 21. From janitor to $4.4 billion retail empire. When Do-Won Chang first arrived in America from South Korea in the early 1980s, he had nothing but his wife, a dream, and 3 jobs. Yes, 3. He worked as a janitor, gas station clerk, and coffee shop busboy, all in a single day, just to afford rent and support his family. No fancy degree, no smooth English, no savings. Just hustle, sweat, and relentless optimism. But here's where it gets real. While working those jobs, Chang noticed something interesting. He saw that people in the fashion industry always seemed to look well off, successful. Where most people would brush it off, he studied it. He and his wife Jin-Suk scraped together $11,000 in savings, everything they had, and opened a tiny 900-square-foot clothing store in Los Angeles. Their mission? To bring fast, affordable fashion to everyday shoppers who wanted to look current without feeling broke. They called it Fashion 21, which later became the global giant Forever 21. Their magic wasn't money, it was mindset. They reinvented how fashion retailed in America, shipping styles faster than anyone else and catering directly to urban youth. At its peak, over 700 stores worldwide, nearly $4.4 billion in revenue. They employed over 35,000 people. And yes, they owned the yachts, jets, and real estate empires most only dream about. But none of that started on easy mode. It started with mops, late nights, and one immigrant couple's refusal to quit. Takeaway? Your last name doesn't matter. What you build does. When you outwork excuses, you start building empires. Story 4. Roman Abramovich. From Soviet orphan to billionaire oil tycoon and football royalty. Roman Abramovich was born in 1966 in the Soviet Union, in a life stacked against him from day one. His mother died when he was just 1 year old. His father, a construction worker, died in an accident a year later. He was raised by relatives in poverty-stricken regions of Russia during one of the toughest economic eras in history. Orphaned, broke, no roadmap. While most would settle into survival mode, Roman learned to hustle in silence. He started with small-time trading, plastic ducks, car parts, anything he could get his hands on. Then came the chaos of the post-Soviet economy, and where others saw danger, he saw the opportunity of a lifetime. Through deep risk, smart negotiations, and sharp instincts, he built connections and slowly moved into oil and gas. Eventually, he took over Subneft, one of Russia's largest oil companies, and later sold it for billions. But Roman didn't stop there. He bought Chelsea Football Club, turning them into one of the most elite teams in the world. He lived on a $600 million superyacht, owned properties across the globe, and played the game of wealth like chess, powerfully, quietly, strategically. The world knows him as mysterious and elite, but his foundations were built in darkness, in hunger, in nothing. Takeaway: survival can shape the strongest instincts. Billionaire thinkers see chaos not as fear, but as a frontier to conquer. You've heard the stories now, from janitors to CEOs, from orphans to owners of football clubs and fleets of yachts, from nobody to next-level pioneers. And maybe right now you're feeling two things: inspiration and intimidation. Because sure, it's incredible to watch, but at the same time, that little voice in your head might whisper, "Yeah, but that's them. That's not me. They're special. They had a moment. They got lucky. They're the exceptions." But what if you're wrong? What if you're the rule that just hasn't started moving yet? Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Success doesn't start with solutions. It starts with decision. A decision that says, I don't care how messy my start is, I'm starting anyway. I don't care who doubts me, including me. I'm gonna build my own damn table instead of waiting to be invited to someone else's. Every billionaire you just heard about, they had no clue how it would all work out. They weren't chosen. They were just committed longer than everyone else. They were broke and showed up anyway. They were exhausted and pushed anyway. They were unqualified and learned as they built. That's the mindset shift. They didn't wait for confidence, they created it. They weren't fearless, they were afraid and moved anyway. They didn't have a master plan, just a drive so loud that failure couldn't shut it up. And that's the part no one posts on social media because it's not glamorous, it's not clickbait, it's just real. So, maybe you're not a billionaire right now, but maybe you've got something just as important. The beginning of one hell of a story. And maybe, just maybe, you've been sitting on a dream that doesn't need more planning, just more courage. This is your turning point. Not tomorrow, not when things calm down, not when you're ready, but right now. You've seen how they started. Now, the only thing that matters is how you finish. So, what's your first move? So, now you know the truth. Billionaires aren't always born in boardrooms. Some were born in broken homes, raised in chaos, forgotten by the system, and dismissed by the world. And yet, they rose. Why? Because they refused to let their circumstances write their future. They stopped playing the role life handed them and rewrote the script. Now, you've got to ask yourself something important. What script are you still following that you didn't choose? Is it that success isn't for people like me? That you have to wait your turn? That because no one's ever done it in your family, you can't either? You've just seen undeniable proof that those beliefs are false. The real difference between billionaires and everyone else isn't talent, money, luck, or even education. It's relentless self-belief. It's grit when nothing's working. It's taking the first step when everyone's laughing and taking the next step when no one believes in you but you. And now, it's your turn. You don't need millions to begin. You don't need perfect timing. You just need a decision, your decision, to stop watching stories like this and start building your own. Because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, someone's gonna scroll past a story about you, the one who came from nothing and built everything. The only question is, will you be living that story or still doubting it's possible? Here's what to do next. Step 1. Comment below. What part of this video hit you the hardest? Who inspired you most? Step 2. Like this video if it made you pause, made you reflect, or made you feel something real. Help it reach someone else who needs this wake-up call. Step 3. Subscribe, because this is just the beginning. I'm sharing more real stories, real strategies, and mindsets that actually move the needle. Step 4. Share this with a dreamer who's stuck. They don't need a lecture. They need a spark. You can be that spark. This isn't just content. It's a mirror. You saw your reflection in someone else's rise. Now choose to rise yourself. Because the world doesn't need more spectators. It needs more builders, more risk-takers, more people who start with nothing and build everything. Your struggle could be your origin story. So go write your super yacht ending.